Welcome back to Picton's Northern Star, the floaty boaty thing. Hey, Saturday morning here in good old New Zealand. Unfortunately, I had an episode ready to go and downloaded or uploaded, whatever you like to call it. Unfortunately, it had dumped the front end of all the work that I'd spent some time doing, trying to get an episode out. So, anyhow, hope you enjoy what I've cobbled together to replace it with, and hope you hang around to the end of the episode. And as usual, like, share, subscribe, all that drama. And some exciting stuff starting to happen with the boat. So hang around and keep watching. My table water arrived. 30 of these oil mats. Apparently they only soak up oil, leave the water behind. $1.30 each, I think they worked out to be. I ordered 30 of those. They look to be exactly the same as what most marine places are selling, and selling locally for nearly $7 each. So that was 30 of those I purchased. Apparently they're reusable. You can wash them down, although whether you'd want to after they've been in the bilge for a bit, or whether or not you just want to maybe bundle them up and dispose of them accordingly. So I didn't order too many at once. I thought that'll keep me going for a while, and we'll see what they're like before I order any more. But they certainly look to be exactly the same as what's sold locally in the marine shop as bilge mats. The other thing that arrived is this little battery monitor and temperature monitor. That has a little LED display, and when I get everything rewired for the house bank and up into this area here, it's going to be wired in, so it's 2 wires and obviously some settings on it. And this, I think it's a 60 amp, I haven't got my glasses, if I remember it was a 60 amp waterproof breaker switch. So will also probably be mounted down a bit lower, closer to the battery, I believe is the best place. May even put it down beside the one for the Maxwell winch. I believe they have to be quite close to the battery to get the full benefit of them. Whether 60 amps is too big, I don't know. We've still got to do a wee bit of research, but they arrived. Also what arrived was a headlamp, LED headlamp. You plug it in, and it's got a number of settings on it. Very bright white light. Also 3 bands of white, yellow, red, and flashing red around the side. I bought a very similar thing locally in a shop. Cost me nearly $50. One which my son lost. This one cost me $7, and it appears to be exactly the same or very similar to, if not better, than what I bought locally. So I'm actually going to look at buying a set of 4 of them for about $21. That'd be the ideal thing to keep charged on the boat, and with the safety gear for the life jackets and things, because imagine if you do happen to end up in the water at night, having something like that, bright light flashing red or however it looks, make you pretty easy to spot. It's quite interesting, there's a fair bit of water in there. We haven't had a lot of rain. So they've put the oil mats in there. They obviously took a bit of oil out of there into the water out of the gearbox when they took it off. Hoping you can see that. There's a fair bit of water. Whether or not they've washed it down, though it certainly looks as though something's been disconnected up there. You can see with that piece of hose, sorry, just sitting up there has come off something, or it's a new piece of hose. So yeah, there's some water come from somewhere, and that's the for the feed for the cusp bearing there. It's been tapped off there. Don't know why they've done that. Maybe I reckon I can see what's happened. I reckon they've disconnected it off here for the pump, and I would say it was probably bleeding water, seawater in, possibly through the cusp bearing, I don't know. but it's interesting, there's quite a bit of water in there. So anyway, what I've done today, I thought I'm going to come down today, even though I'm not feeling the greatest. I might suck all that water out and get rid of it, clean it up there. I actually wanted to come down and scrub the bilges with some dishwash and everything, just while the gearbox is out, just to try and make it look, make it a lot cleaner. And those areas that I won't be able to reach when the gearbox goes back in. It's pretty clean under the engine itself. Most of the mess has just been gradually worked its way aft here into this part of the bilge, the deepest part of the bilge. So what I want to do is clean that out, give it all a good scrub and an oil while the gearbox is out, while I can reach everything. And I want to do that today, just in case they come down and reinstall everything a little bit quicker than I was anticipating. And we can pretty much know that that's sort of done. You can see they've put a couple of those old oil mats in there. I would say, I wonder whether that's what the story is. I wonder they've disconnected that from there, and it's potentially there's been water coming in somehow. Although I wouldn't have thought it would have been coming in through the cooling system for the cusp bearing, but who knows. Anyway, so right, looks like they had to undo the brackets, mounting it, fixing the engine to the boat there as well, the mounts. Certainly see I'll bring in here and have a little bit of a quick look. I'm hoping you can sort of see all of that. It's pretty dark in here. I'll just put that back over there. I won't touch anything around there. I'm hoping that's not going to mean hours and hours of realigning. It looks as though there's been some shims in there. So hopefully it's just going to be a matter of putting it all back in, reinserting the shims and cranking everything back up again. So anyway, let's get on with it. I'll put the camera out here and hopefully you can see, I'm going to put on time lapse. So I'm hoping you'll be able to see what's going on. That being said, I am going to break out the new Stanley Fat Max portable wet dry vacuum, the replacement model given to us by Mitre 10. Good on you, really appreciated how easy it was to take the old one back. This time I have gone for the plastic bucket, once bitten twice shy, with the stainless steel. In fact, ended up with rust holes in it and whatever. Clearly wasn't good quality stainless steel in it. So this was even cheap. This was about $90 odd. So they also gave us a bit of a refund as well. Have it there. So I'm going to break that out shortly. I'm going to suck that out, suck the bilge out, and we'll get into it and get it sorted. Maybe a little bit of degreasing and things like that. Right, don't know how much of that you actually saw. GoPro's playing up, and yeah, but pretty much got the water out of there. Now, I'm going to dive in there with the old Morning Fresh scrubbing brush, and no, I'll worry about that. So going to dive in there with all of that now, give it a little bit of a scrub, and then a little bit of water, and then I'll suck it all out. Well, that was bloody fun. Another good scrub in there. And absolutely scrubbed the living hell out of it with dishwash and tepid lukewarm water. Sucked out and got rid of and disposed of appropriately or accordingly as it should have been. But there were quite a few times I had to rinse that. So you've got some mats in there now. Hopefully that'll just pick up any other oil. It's not perfect. There's still a couple of little spots I missed scrubbing, but hey, it's better than it was. It certainly doesn't have all the crud and the crap and the oil and the grit and the bits of this and bits of that in there, and the oily sheen that it had. So next time it's done, it's probably may do it when it comes out on the hard. But yeah, certainly a large chunk of steel got out of there with that gearbox. Oh, just dropped the cap there. Was sitting on the header tank into the bilge. Of course, it couldn't just fall down on the walkway down there. It had to fall right underneath the motor. I can't see it. I'll have to bring a light down and have a look and fish it out. I thought it might have been loose and have worn out the top of the header tank, but it looks as it's actually been ground back for it to just sit on top, so that it would fit underneath the floor there, as opposed to something that's happened naturally over time. So someone's ground off the top of it, which is a bit of a shame. Anyway, we are, excuse the huffing and puffing, I've just been up and down and in and out and on my belly in the bilge, scrubbing and sucking water out and all that sort of thing, and getting rid of it into the container. Yeah, so we'll head home now and take some rubbish and take the wet vacs and clean it all out properly, dry it out. Right, catch you later. Back down at the boat. Quite a bit has been happening. Work is progressing. I don't know when I'm going to get this episode out with this update. I'm having a few issues with the computer at the moment. Simply it died, won't start, won't turn on for some reason. I've got to get that fixed before I can get the next episode sorted. Obviously my editing program, etc. is all on there. My life is on there, so to speak, for lack of a better turn of phrase. So I need to get that sorted out, so that I can carry on. Anywho, so from the previous you would have seen that they'd taken the whole gearbox out. That was a pretty good effort. Dragged it out in parts up through the engine access there and out the door, and obviously carried it all the way out to the vehicle and workshop, back to the workshop. You'll see a bit of an update there. Parts of it were starting to return. So well, look at that. She's back in. They're obviously going to be realigning it. Hopefully you can see that all right. What I might do is have a little bit of a... There's obviously the reduction box gearing back there. And let's have a look in there. All sort of pretty interesting. Obviously the top's got to go back on, so we'll cover that back up there. Don't want crap falling in there after all this effort and money spent to get it sorted out. They'd taken out, you'll see from maybe some poor footage or photographs, they'd actually completely taken out the gearbox. How on earth they did that? They must have broken it into parts, taken the top off it, taken everything out, taken the guts out of it, taken the bottom off. And you'll see from the photograph there, pretty much the whole gearbox was out and gone. since come back. They've put it back into place, so they've got to put the chocks back under because the brackets supporting the gearbox and the reduction box also help line the motor. You can see the reduction box cover and some of the gearing in there. You'll see from the other footage there that I'll put up now as well that the gearing and everything has all been replaced. So it looks as though pretty much what they've done is created one good gearbox and reduction box out of both on the factory or workshop floor, which is really awesome because yeah, it would have been pretty difficult to have done it in the boat there. So I'm just sort of looking at the muffler and exhaust there and sort of wondering whether maybe it's a little bit too rigidly mounted. It does have an expansion joint on the side closest to the engine, but when I reinstalled it back into the gas pipe where it goes to the bottom of the dry stack, it was a little bit of a tight fit, so I don't think it's actually got the movement it possibly needs. So I'm actually contemplating whether I need to potentially take off the wrapping and on the opposite side there take a little bit more room off and create a little bit of an expansion gap and get an expansion joint with that to allow the gearbox, the muffler and the exhaust pipe to move independently of the motor. I just don't think it's probably going to be good long term to have it fixed as tightly as it was. It was like that, the one that came out was like that. But yeah, I don't know that it's that good. So that's something I'm thinking about. So anyway, throw some comments below what your views are. And it's pretty stiff in there. 8 hours in total to get those bolts and get that piece of exhaust pipe and the muffler off. What a carry on. That done now. Ooh, shiny. You'll see that they've hung the new heat exchanger beside the Raycore water pump down there. She's pretty shiny and looking forward to actually getting this old girl up and running again because I've got quite a bit of growth. I need to scrape off the wormwood and probably the prop needs a good scrape as well. At this stage there, I'll look at pulling her out of the water probably late February, March. When things quieten down a bit, I'll take some leave from work. I've got some young lads to come and give me a bit of a hand sanding, so I get 4 or 5 of them. It's worth me paying them to help sand the hull after it's been water blasted, although I anticipate the water blasting will take a lot of the rubbish off. And then I'll get in and get a new coats of anti-foul on, which should last for another 18 months, 2 years, especially if I'm using the boat more regularly. It's certainly grown quite a bit of growth since it's been here in the marina and not moving. It really needs to be pushed through the water so that the soft anti-foul can ablate and the growth can be removed. But I can sort of see from underneath I'm starting to get a little bit of growth occurring now. There's the boys. Strangely, nobody's fishing out there today, given it's been such a beautiful day. bit weird, yet you'll find people out there midweek when it's pissing down with rain and really cold. So I don't quite know. Anyway, a little jobs here. I think these need to be renewed. Probably need to get some new life rings. 6217, Picton 6217. Potentially replace those with some new ones. They look as though they potentially had or seen better days now. They may yet be donated to the family here in Picton as some memorabilia. The aerial for the VHF, someone's broken that and it's been taped up there. The strong winds that we get has pushed that over. That one is defunct. That was where I took the horns off. It was all part of the original communication system. I'd say the lifeboat capsule used to sit in there. Looking at the photographs that I was sent by Margaret from Queensland, there would have been an identical event on the other side at the end where the solar panel is. Certainly showed that was where the original wheelhouse ended, and there's pictures of winches and gear which you will see from the photographs located where the aft cabin roof or aft cabin is sitting there. Right, and that's a bit of a check, and running this episode in 4K. I'm going to try that, see if that actually works a little bit better than the 1080. I noticed some of the footage from the last episode was a bit grainy at a distance, so I watched the episode again on the bigger screen, and it's a way of working out what, if anything, I can do to make things a little bit more watchable, provide a bit better quality viewing and that sort of thing. So I see there's a new boat in the marina here, this old girl up here, quite narrow, which is a good indicator that she's a bit of a classic. Doesn't seem to have a name, but what do you think of her? There's been a lot of time spent bringing her back up to a lovely standard. Either she's a new build made to look old, or someone spent a lot of time making an old build look new. Don't know. What do you think? You can probably hear the wind in the background there. Well, I've been sitting here, the boats have been rocking around. Of course, the wind is sort of heading us beam on. This is coming up Waikawa Bay there, and she's heading us beam on and pushing the boat around, which, given that she's about 16.5, 17 tonne with quite a deep keel, it's you know, a good wind to do that. You know, I forgot to bring the key down, or I must have taken the key back, but I went to get the key where I normally keep it down here, and it's not there. So I don't know if I inadvertently took it home the other night, or they've come down to do a job on the boat here and forgotten to put it back themselves and walked away with it in their pocket. I don't know. If I can't find it and they haven't done that and something's happened to it, it's disappeared, they'll just have to cut the lock off and I'll just have to replace it. I mean, it was a $4 lock, so I'm not going to be too fashed about it. So as you can see, pretty horrible, shitty, awful day. It's been like this for the past 24 hours. I don't know how much more we've got to come, but it's been some heavy snow down south. And yeah, oh, you can see it coming there. So we give them a buffers bit of a hard time. So what I'll need to do as I shut up again is I'll need to just go and check my lines and check the buffers and just make sure everything's okay. I don't really want any breakages, but there's, you know, springers fore and aft, and as well as ties in the bow and the stern. It's not as though the strain has been pulled away from the dock, it's been pushed into the dock, so there's no sign of chafing when I was here. I think it was last night I was here, I'm not sure. Or the previous night. Would have been Thursday night I was here, so anyhow, not much more I can do down here. There's not much water in the boat despite the heavy rain that we've had. I'm not going to pull that out with the vacs because I'm going to have to climb out the emergency escape hatch again, as I had to climb in to get in, go out into the weather, run a cord, bring it back and do all that, get back in through it. So I might just re-secure the old girl and head home and either go and do some housework or put my feet up. Oh, wind's still a bit gusty out there. Weather's been a little bit better though, but beautiful morning yesterday and not too bad today, but just been down, come down again to have a look at everything, open up, get a bit of ventilation and get a bit more footage. Where we're at with the engine, we are looking down there at the salt water pump, which is, they've cut off the tap and another portion there. Now what I'll try and do is I'll try and get some pretty clear footage of everything so that I can explain where everything goes as far as warm water and cooling and that is concerned, in particular in relation to the heat exchanger. I've got a couple of diagrams that I've done which I'm going to keep in the boat in the folder, just for future reference and ultimately for any future owner, and they may work out what's going on with everything. That is the coolant return to the reservoir. This is a coolant return, this one here, coolant return from the keel coolers. There's another pipe hooked up on the opposite side there to the water pump and hooked up the two keel cooling inlet and outlet. Actually down there you can probably just see them. You can just see them down there probably. So, of course, there's only salt water running through the heat exchanger when the valve is turned to a particular position on the salt water pump. Right, here's my rather wonderful artwork. Heat exchanger is the water from the raw water pump into the heat exchanger, water out to the port side is coolant from the engine through the heat exchanger and back round. It goes completely back around under the engine to the keel cooler. So hopefully you can see that. So is the saltwater outlet or feed to the heat exchanger. Previously there was heat exchangers and that on the bulkhead for oil coolers when the boat was fishing commercially, had winches and everything fitted, so all that's gone. So they've obviously had to work out something here. There was a valve here that would have hooked up into there. That was off in the time that I've had it, so there was no salt water running through that I'm aware of, through the heat exchanger and back out and round. So I don't quite know what they're going to do there. Because with that open, there would have been water running down the port side and out through a through hole, but there never has been. It's all been going through the top side deck. So here is the through hole saltwater feed for the raw pump into here. That was turned off. Into here, this was the outlet. That was turned off. Couldn't go through the heat exchanger. Couldn't get into the engine. And then it was down out through here to the back of the boat. You can see down the back of the boat there, where they've capped off the back there, a little bit of water that came off for the dripless gland cuss bearing. And then someone's done some monkeying around there, would have gone through a through hole, but now what it's doing is going up and down and up through the deck as a wash down pump on the deck there, which I'll take you and show you shortly. So they've utilised the other through hole where it would have been connected. You see that white PVC pipe there is now grey water from the shower and from the galley sink. This here is an outlet. This was turned on here. That would allow salt water to run into here. I'm not sure what degree it would have run through the engine, but this is obviously another heat exchanger here, and outlet through there and off out through the side hole. So effectively they wouldn't have had would be salt water whipping out of there and through here cooling in the event of emergency with turning on and off a valve. So obviously shutting that off and opening that would allow that to run through, would run through into there and do a little bit of cooling. Right, here is my other pretty picture. Salt water pump. This is the feed from the through hole into the pump. This is the lever that's missing, and this is to the heat exchanger. So since I've had it, that has been off and there's been no salt water running through the heat exchanger. The engine keeps cool enough, simply pumping the engine coolant through the keel coolers. So she comes out here, runs down the length of the engine room. A small quantity is pulled off for the dripless gland, and the rest of it up through the deck to the washdown hose. There's another valve there. It's missing the lever, I think for very good reason, because you'd turn it to turn that off to stop the feed of water coming in through the through hole, and that will draw water out of the bilge in an emergency situation as an emergency bilge pump. Put it through and get rid of it. Obviously you wouldn't want a lever on that to accidentally knock it open, because the water coming in through here is going to go straight through and into the bilge. Could be a bit of a trap for new players, so I understand fully why it's been removed. This valve here opens it up if you need to run raw water through another heat exchanger here, and then down and through here. The extent that it goes through the engine I don't know. But this is basically the starboard side of the engine. So, hopefully that makes sense. That is my picture. And I'm going to put these aside in the boat so that I can refer to it in future, or if I need to explain it to anybody else. I'm starting to get a little bit of a tantalising taste of excitement creeping in. Anywho, we'll see what's going on. I'll come down again tomorrow and we'll give you an update. But as you can see, it's a beautiful afternoon here. Absolutely no wind whatsoever. And strangely enough, to go with my theory, there's nobody out there fishing at all. Yet when the weather's crappy, there's quite often quite a few people out there fishing, hunkered down behind that barrier there. But yeah, absolutely nobody out there today, nobody out in their boats. It's just a gorgeous afternoon. The only one here. Head down to the boat for another check. Arrived to find the extension cord out, plugged in. Can only mean one thing. Someone's got something going in it. And it's a charger. Battery charger. Must be starting to indicate they're getting close. If they haven't tried to start the engine, maybe they're making sure that everything's sorted out, given it's been so long since it's run. Yep, and here we go. Battery charger. First things I see: coolant, glycol, a pile of nuts and bolts. I see the valve and everything reassembled there. And I see down there the rest of the reduction box gearing. Let's get down there and have a look. Yep, there it is there. Hooks up to the prop shaft. The gearing, bit of a heavy chunk of, it's pretty weighty. I don't think I'd like to drag that around too much. Gearbox oil down here, so whether that means it's been topped up, I don't know. Gear change, reconnected, and down there they've hooked up the water to the heat exchanger and the raw water pump. Our big thing is there is don't particularly want it running through the heat exchanger, because it hasn't been running in the time that I've had it, and it's peeling off a bit of raw water for the dripless gland. Keep everything cool there. So I'm probably going to turn that off. I may just leave it on until they've sorted what they need to sort with it, because they obviously need to check everything. I don't know how the water outlet down the port side, how much, or whether that's in good condition or not, but I will turn that off. But I do need to make sure that they reconnect the dripless gland water supply for cooling, etc. Maybe that they can do that, leave that cracked open, run the water down both ways, but I do want water top sides for the washdown pump. It always sort of runs, so we'll see what happens. We'll see how that works out. So anyway, here we are. It's a beautiful night down here. I've almost a strange sense of excitement. We just crawled out of the belly of the beast. Oops. Yeah, I just about smack my face into the battery box and everything there. It could have been quite painful. I just managed to caught myself. So that's what happened when you try and crawl around the boat and record and talk at the same time. So yeah, beautiful night. Got a breath of wind, a little bit of rain. Oh, let's try and do anyway. A bit of mullet kicking around. I think it's mullet splashing around. Funnily enough, nobody's fishing. Beautiful day, nobody's out fishing. Yeah, it'll be a horrible shitty day. Everyone's out there hunkered down behind the wall there, or the fence, or the barrier, whatever you call it. Not a lot of movement out there, just quite strange. I must stop moving this around so quickly, because I've watched some of my footage and I could probably actually do was just slowing down and keeping things a bit more steadier, otherwise I'll make people a bit motion sick. So the tide's quite flat. You can sort of see how low it is. It's normally up quite a bit higher. As there's about 15, 16 metres under the boat at low water. Right, down checking the boat today. Clearly the cap's been off and put back on with a bit of extra tape. That's a good sign. Let's wander in and see what's going on. Okay, what have we got here? We have coolant ready mixed. That coolant there, obviously using it to pour in. Oh, now we've got that out. I don't quite know what's going on there. We've got that sitting there, and they've removed the outlet, so I don't quite know what's going on there. Curious and curiouser why that would be off. I don't know if you can see it, but all of that was hooked up to there, I believe. All that monkey stuff there. Bit of water there, don't want that dripping onto things, so it's they might be tidying that up. Who knows? I hope so, but I still need a feed for the cusp bearing. If they've had the engine running, one would presume they've had it running. Otherwise, why would the cap be off? There must be water going out the port side, all right. I don't really know. It's all a little bit of a mystery to me, but hopefully there's a plan in place, and one that's going to leave things better off than what they were before we started this process. That's full of coolant. So in saying that, I've still got that slight coolant leak there. It gets down to a certain level and I just check it every time I use the boat. It's not under pressure, it's not a problem, but it does need to be sorted at some stage. I'm sorely tempted to actually completely replace it with a separate reservoir that's a bit more easily accessible. Alright, so that's the update. I don't quite know what's going on. Antifreeze is full, obviously they're getting close. We just have to wait and see what the final outcome around the pipework is. But I need to ensure that I've got some sort of feed to the cusp bearing. I would prefer water to be coming out topside. We'll come down here and we'll have a look, which is why I didn't show you for the last episode. Coming up through here, the washdown pump. Just the ability to be able to wash everything down and get it all sorted, so I prefer actually the bulk of the water be coming out of there. rather than out through one of these outlets here. It's a bright morning, very nice. Got away a little bit too late, but sort of on our way. Thanks for watching. Things are getting closer to being completed. What started as a simple service, or not so simple service, has turned into a 20k nightmare. But never mind, it needed to be done. You're in for a penny, you're in for a pound. Thank you for watching, really appreciate it. Like, subscribe, share, and hopefully we'll see you back here for the next episode.